Oh!
I keep doing is...
Oh, you tart.
I had to.
So what's the next rack down, next module down in this rack, rather? Oh, jazz.
So it represents like crinkled tape, really.
I'm just like nodding that I know what bias is. I don't. Never have done. It freezes it.
Yes, so it's not subtle. It's a UK style bus compressor, but it's smashed.
Oh, yeah.
The Steinway Victory vertical piano holds a unique place in history thanks to its deployment during World War II. These pianos, produced by Steinway and Sons, were built specifically for American troops and were often airdropped into battlefields to provide a sense of solace and home amidst the chaos of war. They were manufactured in Steinway's factory based in Queens and were an intrinsic part of the American war effort. As the use of copper was restricted, Steinway had to make these piano strings from iron. This, their robust build and colourful backstory give them a unique sound unlike any other piano. Crow Hill has had the honour of preserving one of the few remaining in existence today. Lovingly sampled at a world-famous location in Santa Monica, the vertical piano features phase-scaled dynamics and an entire creative environment of sound-shaping possibilities, modelled from radios, loudspeakers and tape machines of the era and beyond. By looking back and telling this story, we hope to redefine future expectations of virtual instruments.
So, joined today by Cam. How you doing?
I'm quite good. How are you?
Basically, what happens is Cam and I come up with these ideas. Cam usually produces them. I was co-producer on this out in America. And then you disappear for a few months.
But I go into a cave and sort of see how much I can get away with.
This is the first time I'm going to get a proper look at what you've done. And from what I've seen in Slack and all of these different buttons, I think the sampling is only half the story.
There's a lot of pianos out there.
Yeah.
So the first sort of task, other than you said, like the story, was how can we make this special?
We've got lots of presets, which I'm sure people will enjoy looking through. The way to get to them is to click on this. I can't wait to start trying these. Or you can click directly there and off again, or indeed just toggle. Oh, I can't wait. Toggle through like that. Just look at those lighting changes. Just absolutely brilliant. You've done something different here. This is much more about curation, isn't it?
Effectively modeled a bunch of things, one of which being a very badly maintained reel-to-reel.
My favourite kind.
Yes, so what that will immediately mean to people is lots of pitch changes, volume changes. People sort of class it as lo-fi, but that sound people are after.
Okay, so shall we spool it up?
Yeah.
So shall I play and you can take us through what's going on? Oh!
Let me also change the IPS, which is the speed that the tape...
And that affects the quality?
Yeah, so you get far more pitch variations when the tape's moving slower.
I see that we've got a little loop-de-loopter here.
Which I've called SOS, which just means sound on sound. It lets you create little tape loops. So
Let's have a listen. So it keeps going, so you can... It's so inspiring.
But the thing that I keep doing is...
Oh, you tart.
I had to. So, yeah, we do have a tape stop and a very drunken tape start put in.
It's not just for us drama composers, for producers, but also I imagine songwriters will absolutely love this. The ability to do something that's really vibey, without having to work out loads of technology and stuff, just by playing. Oh, I just love that. So what's the next rack down, next module down in this rack, rather?
So next track down, we have speaker modeling. So I have a whole bunch of speakers. Defaults to my favorite one. And the idea is that you can make the piano sound like it's coming through a radio of the time. So in this case, an actual earpiece that would have been worn while transmitting through radio.
So when you spoke of modeling the stuff that you took the noise from, it's these...
Yeah, we modeled the noise, the actual speakers within the radios, and the distortion that comes through as well. But coupling that stuff with the tape warble is quite pleasant.
It's just absolutely. So that's headset. What else do you have in there?
Yes, we have an array of different ones. So this is my second favorite. So this is a large format speaker, almost like an amp of the time. What's nice about this as well is you can mix them in.
So the module beneath really affects the way in which the tape is
Taping.
being deranged, I guess.
Yeah, so we have wow, which is wow and flutter, so it's how much continual pitch movement you get. So if I crank that up.
See what you mean, yeah.
Which works best subtly. Drops is the amount of volume variation.
Oh, jazz.
So it represents like crinkled tape, really. Flux is possibly your favorite. It featured in Cosmos for people that have it.
It's pure shallow water.
It is, yes. It's random pitch snags, and as if the reel is getting looser and having to speed up.
And then drive.
So drive is directly connected to the bias control at the bottom, and it lets you change the bias of the signal. So I'll let you play and it will get more and more distorted.
I'm just like nodding that I know what bias is. I don't. Never have done. Is that the angle of the head?
It's the voltage.
What I'm loving, Cam, is that we're really truly changing the character of the signal without mucking around with too many mic mixes and all of that kind of stuff. You're instantly making it your own. Oh, it's just full of vibe. This toggles between the different racks.
Yeah.
Oh, look at all of this amazing stuff. And then these switch the racks on, and then you've got individual modules within those racks.
Yeah. Each page is a sort of series of thematically similar effects.
Okay. So we've listened to the tape reel. What's next up?
Next is what we're classing as effects, as in things that you're semi-familiar with, like reverbs and some tape emulation delays, and things less familiar with that we're calling fractals.
Very nice. And there's a yoke. We love a yoke. So take me through. I'll play. You take me through what we're doing here.
I'll go boring to exciting. So as you'd expect, we have a lovely lush reverb with loads of algorithmic presets, from plates to springs to a big hall. And the thing that I geek out most about is this little snowflake.
It freezes it. I mean, already the spring, that's going to go so well with the tape. Amazing. And then we've got the delays. My eye's been drawn towards age. Do you feel you can lean over me? See, for me, this is what I'm loving about what you've done, both with the tape and with the delays and stuff like the spring, is you would have to go rummaging for these types of effects, and these are just really perfectly curated for this amazing bit of history.
Yeah, I think it's quite a few of us are really addicted to pedals, not for guitar pedals, but not for the use of guitars, using with samples. So this is me creating a little pedal board. So Age adding saturation, filtering, and a lot of pitch warble to the signal feeding back in itself.
It's just absolutely stunning.
And of course, loads of time signatures to choose from, straight and triplet if you want.
And then I'm intrigued. Fractals.
I can control the yoke if you want.
Yeah, go for it. So this is some granular stuff going on.
This is the granular resynthesis of the signal. I'll press the fun button.
It's just great. Just all there.
Yeah, and it's any excuse for an XY pad is what I've started saying. Yeah, with the fractals as well, you can choose musical intervals for the resynthesis to pitch.
And presumably we can assign MIDI controllers for all of these.
Yeah, everything's right-click
Amazing.
learn or with built-in automation. You can also, at the bottom of the page, rearrange some of the effects orders so you can go delay into reverb or reverb into delay.
Amazing. So let me just play with this yoke a bit. That's great. So it doesn't really make it work with your performance. So what's up on master?
Technically, it's more effects, but I felt it was, as opposed to things that drastically change the signal, it's things you might use to glue the signal together or just add a little
Almost
bit of
kind
flavor.
of master bus stuff.
Yes, we have tilt shift EQ.
I don't think I've ever seen an EQ look like this in a virtual instrument. It looks amazing.
Yeah, and obviously we have high and low cut as well, so I'll just filter things out while you play.
Let's go to saturation.
So you can both control the send and mix that we're sending to the saturation modeling, but also the filtering of it. So you can make it brighter or darker. And you can always, pre and post lets you choose whether it's happening before or after the sound effects. So if you want to saturate before or after your reverb.
And then finally, nice compressor, which I used to hate putting compression on pianos because I'm a piano player and therefore have a slightly purist thing about it. And I could tell like the minute any compression went on. But actually, I quite like using it as an effect,
Yes.
which I think will probably suit this type of piano.
Yes, so it's not subtle. It's a UK style bus compressor, but it's smashed.
Oh, yeah. Right, come here, tape reel. Time to go to work. So some great master bus stuff there. So finally, settings. The velocity curve is really for you to adjust to your playing style. Also ability. Some people find the hard, soft stuff quite difficult, but also your controller.
Yeah, you're just changing the responsiveness of the controller, either making it far more responsive.
Yeah.
Or making it a lot harder to get to those top velocities.
Yeah, making it even more naughty. So what did you do there just to make it reset?
I just modifier clicked all the controls. You can modifier click and it'll go back to its default value. Related to the curve, actually, we also have dynamic range, which is associated to the velocity curve, and it lets you choose if you want to predominantly hear more soft timbres or brighter ones.
I mean, this is really producer friendly, but also for anyone who's working on smaller keyboards. One of the real difficulties with these small keyboards is velocity. So if you're wanting a piano to speak out more predominantly, then that's a really good setting. Conversely, I'm very excited about the quiet thing because us drama bods like it to just be quiet all the time. And then what's Humanize all about?
Humanize is my drunk dial. So it will take the velocity you're playing and randomize it, either positively or negatively, depending on the value of the control. But it also adds an amount of pre-delay to your note as well.
Right.
So maxed out, if you play a certain velocity, it's going to randomly be somewhere between 5 above or below it.
Yeah.
And it's going to add up to, it's measured in microseconds. This is getting geeky. Up to 350 microseconds of pre-delay to your note.
Right.
The idea there being if you're just drawing something in and quantizing it,
Yeah.
and it doesn't feel like a live player, you can sort of start cranking up that dial and it'll be different every time.
And then I see we've got a complement of stuff that I know I'm just going to turn up full all the time.
So mechanics will be the actual wooden sound of the hammers lifting, and an accentuated attack sound.
Do you want to fiddle with them whilst I play?
So mechanics is the most subtle and works best with non-sustained material because that's when you can sort of hear the hammers going kudunk, being lifted off. Release are release triggers. It's the actual tonal sound of the hammer rubbing against the dampener.
So that's one of the ones I'll turn up full.
Yeah, and something I'm really happy about those controls as well is obviously it's a piano, so there's lots of audio files and processes happening. So every time you switch off an effect, it will no longer consume CPU. But also with these controls, if you're adding your own reverb and you don't want the releases, if you minimize that control, it unloads them. It's not using any system resources. It's not just muting it, it's getting rid of it entirely. Pedal is the actual sound of the pedal.
Gotcha. And resonance is
pedal down. So the way we recorded pedal up and pedal down piano samples individually, so you can control how much of that pedal down resonance is actually appearing in the sound. So if you find that you're playing lots of fast arpeggios with your pedal down, it's getting quite muddy, you can sort of dial that back.
Now I believe this does something clever as well. So if I'm pedal up, the resonance is coming in at that point. So it's not just the next time you press a note.
No, that would be really irritating.
Just stunning.
So it lets you, repedaling I think is the term, so it lets you do that as well.
Great. Amazing stuff. I don't want to get all salesy, but it does feel to me like you've taken the GUI and the experience of working with this piece of history like to the next level. I've never really been a one to use effects within instruments because I'm a bit of a control freak, but these are just so perfectly designed. They really fit. But also I think to many people who aren't pedal geeks like you and I, they're not that obvious how to achieve these kind of sounds, which is why you've got all of these amazing presets as great starting points as well. And I imagine you've had a lot of fun making the presets as well.
Yes, and a lot of fun with the effects. It's hard to say it's been work when you start with a great piano and just go, how can I tart this up as much as possible?
No, it's fantastic. So Cam, why don't we talk through the process of capturing the samples? We used a bunch of vintage mics
that were truly vintage and just got online in the hope that it would work. But we also had some restored mics from the 40s that our friends at Kerouac's, they're called Melodiums, so they're the old French ribbon microphones that were made throughout the 40s, so would have been used during this period as well. First, we have a list of curated mixes that we call source. Each one is a different subset of mics and a different produced mix. For instance, 1940s is only using the ribbons from the 40s, whereas classic is what Crowhill deems as a modern sound. And when you select one, you then have this distance control. And what the distance control allows you to do is to sort of seamlessly crossfade between a really close inside the piano studio produced sound to sitting a few meters back.
And it's a beautiful room, isn't it? It's Hans Zimmer's studio in
Remote control.
Remote control, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So why don't you show me the different signals and how the distance thing sounds? It's so lovely. It's what I would refer to as the room sound. It's not echo, it's more of a diffused sound, which is great when applying a secondary reverb to it.
We have that across all the 4 subsets as well. So you always have that ability to morph between types, spot mics, and room signals.
I love the way that the light changes on the focus. We really tuned it as good as we could because it was insanely out.
Where we were located, it's quite funny because you go for the first piano tuner you can get in short notice, and it ends up being a piano tuner to the stars. An absolute trooper.
Amazing character, brilliant.
She came in and was immediately concerned because we thought, yes, there's maybe a little bit of unison and chorusing issues, and it was several steps out. But yeah, I think we did a really good job of making it playable, but retaining a lot of the sort of character around the piano.
So back to the classic. What I'm noticing is I cannot hear the steps. We didn't do like a million dynamic layers.
We did something different here, something I've always wanted to do, but never had the sort of time or tech to do it, where, this is going to sound really fancy, we're spectrally morphing between velocity layers. The idea being that when you're changing timbre as well as volume, instead of it being like a floor and ceiling where it goes, I'm playing this audio file, now I'm playing that audio file, and you get that stepping, it looks at both those files and morphs between them effectively. So it's more than just a volume crossfade. It's looking at the phase and the tonal characteristics of them and trying to merge them a little bit. So it really softens that.
What's this noise bit here?
We went to this vintage communication museum that's only half an hour from Edinburgh, and it was a warehouse just full of radios from...
And octogenarians.
Yes, from the 30s through to modern times, but they had every single radio that had been used during World War II.
Wow.
So we utilized that technology in a couple of ways. The simplest was you've included a bunch of room tone noises to put behind your piece. So from vintage, that includes the noise from all the mics in the studio. Some lovely ground tom.
Beautiful animation as well.
Yes, Pro outdid himself on that one. Some studio reel-to-reel. Even though not available at the time, we had to put in cassette noise because why not? To actual radios of the time.
It's presence, isn't it? So it doesn't sound like you're playing in outer space.
Yeah, so you don't fall to digital silence, but it's just that I suppose it's been made popular with lo-fi type music these days.
It may appear as a gimmick, but I happen to know a lot of amazing orchestral mock-up artists who will always add some presence in so that you're not fading out to a digital silence.
Yeah.
And I think there's something very subconscious about the brain. When you put a bit of presence in, it feels that it's actually there. It helps with the sense of reality.
A big part of making these instruments is we take all that noise out so you don't, every time you play a new chord, that noise isn't building upon itself. So instead of just stripping that tonal quality from the instrument, you can put it back in a more controllable manner.
But without the
stacking, yeah.
I was nervous when we agreed with Russell over in Santa Monica to do this because, as you say, it's another piano.
Yeah.
And I think that whilst when we were there in Santa Monica recording it, we understood the importance of preservation, the importance of, being able to capture something that is so rare is fantastic. But the whole thing about Crow Hill is about us just not repeating ourselves or what other people have done or what we have done in the past.
Yeah.
So you've really taken it on some and created an environment that is befitting of the original sampled material of the original piano and the amazing project that this was. And I mean, it really, apparently, what it did to the morale of the troops on the front line and stuff is nothing short of romantic. I think it sets a precedent for how we're moving forward with Crow Hill with regards to the way in which we want people to play.
Yeah, definitely.
To buy a copy or find out more about the vertical piano, its history, and our approach to preserving this story for future generations, go to thecrowhillcompany.com, linked in the video description below.